So hello and welcome to today's video. Thank you very much for joining us. Today we are going to be talking about crash helmets. So this video is about my personal experiences and opinions of these 5 helmet manufacturers that I've used over the years. So we're not going to do a scoring on a scale of 10, we are just going to run through my personal experience of them, but hopefully for each helmet we will be covering safety, the weight, the cost, the build quality, the comfort, the ventilation, the visibility and the noise. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. Let's crack on with the AGV and start off with safety. So when we're looking at safety with motorcycle crash helmets, things can get a little bit fuzzy. There's lots of different information out there. I'll pop some links down in the description so you can go and have a look around if you're more interested in that. There's lots of good videos out there already on YouTube thoroughly detailing all the safety of crash helmets. But basically, if you want to use a motorcycle crash helmet within the European Union, it has to have passed the ECE 2206 certification. That's the current regulation in 2023. They also, on the motorcycle crash helmets, will have this ACU, Auto Cycle Union Gold Standard sticker. That means the crash helmet is suitable for road racing, motorcycling on the road. Full face helmets like this, motocross and speedway helmets, and that might have a silver sticker instead. But again, more information down in the description if you want to look into that. Going above and beyond that, there is also the sharp rating system. So any helmet that has gone through the sharp rating system has already been European approved through the ECE regulation. So the sharp rating is additional tests with additional impacts to find out more information about how that helmet performs. So again, I'll pop a link in the description if you want to have a look a bit more at the sharp rating. So let's start off with this AGV. So here we are, the AGV AirTech. Now this is quite an old lid now, but a lot of the design and the features on the lid have carried through to a lot of AGV's newer entry-level crash helmets like the K1 and K3. So let's get the elephant in the room out of the way straight away. Obviously this helmet is missing a visor and it's got some damage to the back of it. So I have actually crash tested this personally. So let's have a look at how that performed, shall we? As you can see here, the back of the helmet hit the floor so hard that it's distorted the shape of the helmet, and it's done its job in dissipating the energy, but it's distorted so much it's actually popped the visor off the helmet, as you can see there. So this helmet has a sharp rating of 4 stars, as we can see here, and it's actually got a very good impact results on the rear of the crash helmet. So I was really happy I was wearing this crash helmet when I had the accident. Really pleased I chose it. For the helmet itself, it was £150, so it's quite a cheap helmet, but as you'll find with a lot of these crash helmets, the price doesn't indicate the safety. You would think the more expensive they are, the safer they are. That is 100% not the case. So this is a 4-star sharp rated helmet for £150. It does weigh a little bit. I think this is 1.45 kilos, so it's a little bit heavier, but as always, it's a compromise between the weight and the safety. So the build quality of the helmet is very, very good for the cost. We've had none of the internal material sagging or coming loose. A little bit of fraying and fluffing on the inside there, but it's quite, it's quite an old helmet now, and it still looks in a reasonable condition inside. It doesn't look like it's been sat and nothing's rotted away. All the straps are still in good condition. So the build quality is very good. Coming onto the strap, it is a quick release strap, which I'm not a huge fan of, just because the double D securing fastening type is safer, but if you've got gloves on, much easier to release and to connect. The comfort of the helmet, it was very good. It could have been a bit better with removing the air from the rear of the helmet. So got plenty of airflow in the front of it, but it's sort of got a bit warm inside, struggling to remove the air from the back of it. But the overall comfort of it was really, really good. None of the internal padding was itchy or anything like that. It fitted nicely on the face. It didn't sag too much over time. You always want them to be a little bit tighter when you buy them, so that as they bed in, they become a bit more comfortable and they still fit correctly. The ventilation, like I say, it was quite good coming in the front, not so good at exhausting it out the back. And the other thing I would mention is that the controls for the ventilation were very small. So one at the top, one at the bottom. I don't know if you can see that there, but they're very small. So when you've got your gloves on and you're fiddling around going along, trying to open them and close them, quite fiddly to get in there and actually operate those vents as you was going along. The visibility from this, as we can see, is very good, all-round visibility. You've got nice visibility in the blind spots at the sides. The only thing I would say is due to the shape of the helmet, when you're on a sports bike and you're tilted down slightly like that, the actual top of the visor here is quite low, so this part here tends to interrupt your vision as you're tucked down looking forward. But other than that, very good visibility around it, nice ratcheting system on the visor. Stays in the position, quite easy to change the visor, not a problem. This didn't come with a pin lock on it, unfortunately at the time, so it did fog up if you was riding in the cold weather, so that's one disadvantage of these older lids, no pin lock system on it. Coming down to the noise, quite a nice, comfortable, quiet helmet. It's one thing it did have, which I really like the feature of, which I haven't seen on any other crash helmets, is this little flap in there, there's a little chin flap. So it's just a rubber flap that pops in and pops out so that you can, as you're riding along, put it down and deflect some of that wind from coming up into the bottom of the helmet down. So that's a nice feature I've not seen in any other helmets. So overall, a really, really good crash helmet. Very safe. Glad I was wearing it when I had the accident. I would buy another AGV. That is my overall impression of it. So let's move on to the Arai. So here we have the Arai Access 2. Again, quite an entry-level sports bike helmet lid from Arai, or Arai, however you want to pronounce that. Safety-wise, this has actually got a sharp rating of 3 stars with the similar or exactly the same weight as the AGV. So it's again 1.45 kilos, but it's only got a 3-star safety rating. So there you can see, just because of the brand, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be safer. This was also a lot more expensive at £250. So quite a reasonably cheap crash helmet still, but you're spending £250, you want the safest crash helmet you can get. So 3-star safety rating, again, as the others, a lot better on the rear impact than what they are on the sides. And for some reason, a lot of these crash helmets seem to have better impact protection on one side than they do on the other. The reason for that, I have absolutely no idea. The build quality of the Arai is where it really excels. You can see the quality of these helmets. None of the paint fades, none of the bits break. They really are a top quality premium crash helmet. And that follows on to the inside. I have never worn a crash helmet as comfortable as this Arai, and they are all the same from the people that I speak to that buy Arais and wear Arais. The comfort level in there, it's almost as if the interior is like a silk purse. It is absolutely lovely made. You could wear this for hours and hours and hours riding along. You'll take it off, you won't be in any discomfort. It won't have irritated any of the skin on your face, and you'll be ready to slip it straight back on and carry on for another 300 miles. So very, very comfortable crash helmet. Good ventilation throughout. It's got a little bit of a fiddly chin opening there, but other than that, it's quite good. It's got these nice little vents at the top. Again, can be a little bit fiddly whilst you're wearing your gloves riding along, but it's got these nice vents at the top for the intake, nice and easy to get to right on the top, and same on the back to exhaust the air out there. So that opens up these little holes inside that rear spoiler. So nice flow in and out of the crash helmet, and like I say, nice little vents in the front here, which feed into these little guys to help the airflow through the crash helmet. One of the things that keeps it so comfortable. It's not the easiest helmet to change the visor on because you've got these side pods on for the aesthetics. However, Arai do come up with a system where you can lift the visor up and use these tangs at the side, so you don't have to remove the pods to change the visor. Other ones with the pods on, you actually have to take them off first to get to the visor fixing. So they have thought about that. So that is a nice little touch that they've done there. Visibility wise, nice big visor. Pin lock system on there. So when you've got the pin lock in there, absolutely no fogging. A very good scratch resistant visor, hasn't scratched up at all. The only thing I would mention is, again, as you are tilted down, on a sports bike in that position. Where those two vents are on the top, it kind of makes this sort of cutout shape there, so these get into your field of view ever so slightly, just like two bull horns, just as you're riding along. But it's not really a huge problem. Good visibility out your blind spot, great visibility all round, to be fair. Now we come to the noise. This is the only downside that I could really find to this crash helmet, is it's quite noisy when you're riding along. Now, it hasn't got any kind of chin strap or wind deflector on the front there. I have fitted one from another crash helmet and tried it, and it's been really, really good with that. So it might be something I look for in the future. So you can get spares and parts for these crash helmets still, so I would put a wind deflector onto this. But that is, again, a compromise of airflow and ventilation through it against the wind noise. So that is the Arai Access 3. I'd definitely buy another Arai crash helmet. Very expensive, but it's a premium brand. So let's move on to something different and have a look at a Bell KC7 CMR. So this is the Bell KC7 CMR, and this is slightly different to the other crash helmets, as this is a karting helmet. So they use a different safety method of regulating these via the FIA or the Snell system. So there is no sharp rating for this crash helmet, but being a CMR means that it is actually designed and built for juniors, so under 16s. So they do make the Bell KC7, which is the adult helmet, and the CMR is the child's version. What that means is it's slightly lighter, and it puts less load on the child's neck as they're go-karting and going around, or if they have an accident, there's a violent head shake, it's not trying to rip the head off of their neck. The main benefit of this being a CMR crash helmet, child's version or junior's version, is that you can actually use this to go through the drive-thru and order your Happy Meal without getting any funny looks. Hiya, can I get a chicken nugget Happy Meal with a blackcurrant fruit shoot, please?
Thumbs up, subscribe.
Safety wise, I've had a couple of accidents in this and I've never been knocked out, so I'm happy enough with that. And if it's safe enough for children to wear, then I'm happy that it's safe enough for me to wear. The weight of it, being the child's version, is very light. It's 1185 grams, so the lightest crash helmet here by far, just under 1.2 kilos. You do notice that when you're wearing this. If I was doing, say, 6-7 hours of driving during a 24-hour race, I wouldn't have any problems with neck fatigue by the end of the race. So a very, very light crash helmet. Cost, they are expensive. This was £550 because it has got the factory paint job on it. This is not something I've had painted. This is how it comes out of the factory. So they are expensive, but then all karting helmets are quite expensive. Even if you're looking to buy a plain one and get it painted, you're going to spend a lot of money. The build quality of this is where I feel this really falls down, especially compared to the other crash helmets I've had. So I've used this a lot, but no more than some of the other motorcycle crash helmets. But you can see here, just little things with it, like on the material that's just starting to come away there. There's little bits around the back here where it's coming out. And the ventilation holes on the top, I've stored this and treated this exactly the same as the other crash helmets, but you probably can't see it, but if you look closely in there, you can actually see there's little bits of rust that are starting to appear in there, so they should be stainless and obviously not rust. So I would say that's the biggest disappointment with this crash helmet, especially for the price, is the build quality of it. I would be more tempted in my next karting helmet to go for an Arai over a Bell, mainly because of how this has withstood the test of time. I like all the other elements to it. That comes into the build quality really. The exterior is all good. There's no problems with the paint or the fixings for the visor or any of the straps or anything like that. It is just really the aesthetics of it and how the material inside over time has started to sag and not really hold up to wicking away the sweat that you produce when you're wearing these. Ventilation is okay. It's not great because it's not adjustable, with the vents just fixed in the top, and it's got very minor exhaust vents on the back, so it doesn't really flow through the helmet particularly well. It keeps you cool on your face, but your head still gets quite hot. So it's not got great ventilation, but one thing I do like about this crash helmet is you can just pop the visor up a little bit like that and it will stay there. A lot of other crash helmets, the ratchet inside of the visor mechanism drops back down as soon as you get some airflow on it. This one you can sit with it slightly open just to get some bit more airflow through. But again, that increases the risk of any debris flying through and the visor not doing its job of protecting your eyes. Visibility on this is a bit different to the others because it's a kart helmet. It has a much narrower field of view through it, and that is on purpose, especially with the sun strip and the visor strip across the top of it. The idea of that is to make it like a letterbox view where you're not too concerned about what's going along around the outside of you, and you're just focused on that piece of racetrack right in front of you. You're sat upright, so you only need to really be looking straight ahead. So it's a very narrow field of view, but that is how they are designed. I will say the visors are laminated with this almost double glazing system on there, and this does not fog up in any conditions whatsoever. So it's a great visor for that, although they are hugely expensive, over £100 per visor for these crash helmets. Nice and easy to change, but you do need the tool, which you are provided with the helmet, just a small Allen key either side to change the visor, and it does have tear-off posts fitted to the visor as well. Noise-wise, no problem with the noise over this. Again, it's that balance between ventilation and noise. If I'm racing in this for an hour and a half, 2 hours, I won't need to wear earplugs. I'll be quite happy to get out and still be able to hear fine afterwards. So that's the Bell KC7 CMR. Good crash helmet, bit disappointed with the build quality. Would I buy another? I would try an Arai next time for the karting helmet, and then maybe potentially in the future I might go back to another Bell. So let's move on to another motorcycle crash helmet, the Suomy Apex. So here it is, the Suomy Apex. Again, quite an old crash helmet now, but it gives me the opportunity to tell you what it's been like to live with over a long period of time. This is a 3-star sharp rated crash helmet. Again, like the others, it's got better impact protection on the rear. However, strangely, different impact protections on the side. So if you're going to fall off, make sure you do it on the right side that's got the safer side of the crash helmet. Weight-wise, this is 1.3 kilos, so quite a lightweight crash helmet. This was the lightest helmet I'd bought up to this point. And you do notice that when you're wearing it, it's nice and light on your neck. You can ride with it for a long time without it being too heavy. But again, it's that compromise between the weight and the safety. Cost-wise, this might surprise quite a few people. This was only £150, and this came as this race replica crash helmet paint job on there. So it's not something I've had painted separately. This is how it came. Very, very nice looking crash helmet, really stands out, and it was only £150, so quite a cheap crash helmet to be honest. Now the build quality, I am really pleased with the build quality of this. Suomy are mainly a racing brand to be honest. They do a lot of racing crash helmets, so there are slight differences with them. But the build quality of this over the years has really stood the test of time. There's been no breakages. There's a small breakage on the rear spoiler there, but that's where it had rolled onto the floor. But the main parts, like all the operating systems for the vents, everything like that, they all still work. The visor mechanism, all still working. None of the paint has faded at all. It all still looks spectacular in the flesh. The interior is all still minty fresh. No problems with the straps. Double D retention system on this, as all the other crash helmets other than the AGV. And yeah, really pleased with it. You can remove the cheek pads again, the same as all the other crash helmets, and wash them and clean them. It really has stood the test of time. You can see in there, no sagging through any of the material, no issue with the rubber seals around the visor, any of these components. So build quality, very, very good. Comfort, it is a comfortable crash helmet. Again, I could wear this for a long period of time, no problems with the inside material being itchy or pushing on your face too much, anything like that. The only thing I would say is with Suomy being a racing brand primarily, the sizes do come up a little bit different. So the same as the Bell KC7, I had to order that in a larger size as that was a child's helmet. This one is also a large, whereas normally I would be a medium. So the Suomy's large size is the same as a normal manufacturer's medium size. Again, I think that comes from the racing pedigree of racers generally being a lot smaller, so the sizes scale up to that. Ventilation is okay. Again, a little bit fiddly on this chin vent there and on the top vents up here, and no option for the exhaust vents there. They're just open all the time. So that is something that this is missing, something you saw later on later crash helmets. And again, no pin lock inserts on this visor. So ventilation's okay. The other thing I would say about that is if you have the visor up, cracked open like this, the wind will overcome the force of that and keep blowing it down. So you can't use that as a bit of additional ventilation unless you're riding along holding it open. Visibility is good. Again, the same as the other crash helmets, being in this position limits the field of view from the top of the visor, but you do have this little nose bit to protect your nose from some of the wind there. That doesn't enter your field of view at all as you're driving along. It's quite easy to be there, no problem. Again, no pin lock on this visor, so they do fog up. And I did find the standard clear visor scratched quite easily. So this is an aftermarket visor, obviously. Also a bit of a pain to change because you have to take these side fittings off to change the visor mechanism inside, and these aren't the easiest things to take off in the first place. I have actually broken one of these in the past just trying to remove it, sliding the tool down there to get these off. So not a quick change visor system, no pin lock on it. The standard screen did scratch up a little bit, so visibility is probably where this helmet falls down slightly, although it has got probably the best visibility of your blind spot out of all of these crash helmets we've looked at. So that's the one advantage to the visibility with this. Noise, same as the others really. It's not too loud. The Arai is the loudest crash helmet here by far, but that might be to do with the ventilation system on it, because it is one of the best for that. This is very similar to the AGV and the later HJC, so no problem with the noise. If you're riding a long distance, you can still get off and talk to your mates. So let's have a look at the final crash helmet and the newest one in this list, the HJC Alpha 11. So here we are, HJC Alpha 11 Carbon Edition. So this is the black on black on black on black edition. Ghost Rider style, I suppose. This is a 3-star sharp rated helmet with a weight, being the carbon edition, of 1,265 grams, so just under 1.3 kilos. So again, safest on the rear of the crash helmet. You can see that compromise there between the weight and the safety. So it's still a 3-star crash helmet, but a very, very lightweight one, so you don't get the fatigue on your neck, which is nice. Cost of this was £350. Not too bad, kind of in the middle of what we've looked at here. That actually did come with the clear visor and a light smoked visor and a pin lock insert as well though. So if you add all of those components up with it, you're going to be looking at spending at least another £100 on all of them. So I was very, very pleased with the price of that, £350. Build quality, newest crash helmet here on the list, so I've not had it too long, probably a couple of years, but I'm really pleased with the build quality of it so far. We've got no problems with any of the external fixings or fixtures working, all still operating, no damage to it. The stickers haven't started delaminating, and the interior is a really, really nice premium looking feel and brand to the interior. Things like these gold double D-ring buckles, comes with the chin guard, things like that. So it does feel like a really nice, comfortable place to be. We'll see how it stands the test of time as I continue to use it through the years. So that is the build quality and the comfort of it, really up there with all the other crash helmets here. Not itchy on the inside, everything working as it should. The only thing I would say is it hasn't, the padding inside hasn't relaxed as quickly as some of the other crash helmets I've had. So this is quite a tight fit still on my face, as most of them are when they're new. However, over time they tend to relax a little bit, whereas this is still quite tight on my face. So it's a good thing because it obviously keeps me safe and fits my face properly, but just something that I've noticed with this particular crash helmet. Ventilation is superb with this. We've got this easy, large, open and closable chin vent, and these 2 vents either side. This little one at the top here is a little bit fiddly, but it's the kind of thing that you would set up before you leave off, as these ones on the top are much easier. These little scroll wheels that open and close these vents at the side. Again, onto the exhaust at the back, lots of exhaust in, although this is not, you're not able to open and close this independently, so this is open all the time, along with these vents down the bottom. So ventilation is really, really good. That, I believe, is probably because it's more sports bike biased, so it's kind of designed for you to be going a bit faster sitting at this angle on the bike. That's really noticeable with the visibility through this. So the chin sits quite high, the chin part of the helmet sits quite high up on your face, but what that means is the whole visor aperture is sort of moved up slightly, so as you are sitting at that sports bike angle, you've still got a really good view without any of the top of the crash helmet interrupting that view forward. So it is by far the best visibility for the motorcycle helmets to look forward. Not so great on the blind spots, being more of a racing sports bike orientated helmet, but it is still got enough visibility to check your blind spot. The other thing with this is it does have the pin lock inserts, so you can fit your pin lock, and it does have the posts for the tear-offs if you're interested in running some tear-offs on there, so you don't have to keep cleaning your helmet. Noise-wise, it's fairly noisy, somewhere between the AGV, Suomy and the Arai. Arai being the noisiest, the other 2 being probably the quietest. This is kind of in between, but it's a good mix of the ventilation and the weight and the build quality and the cost. If I was going to do long distance with this, I would probably put earplugs in. On a track, it's fine. I'm only doing 20-minute sessions at a time, really, so on the track, I don't bother. So that is the HAC Alpha 11 Carbon. So there we have it, guys. That's my personal take on those 5 helmet manufacturers that I've used over the years, my personal experience of them. I hope you found some of it useful, some of the information a bit useful out there. If there is something I've not covered that you want to know, please drop a comment down below and I'll see if I can answer it for you. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed it, please share and subscribe to the channel. Help to grow the channel and bring you some more content like this. Look after yourselves. Hopefully we'll see you soon. Ta-ta!